We are still on tax. You're watching All Access, and this is Rina Hicks. I have with me Robert Waruiru, who is going to help us understand tax better. And the topic I want us to look at today is what is withholding tax and how does it work? And is it a final tax? And what kind of withholding tax is a final tax? And what does it being a final tax mean? So we'll discuss that in the next few minutes. So please subscribe if you haven't and keep watching. Yeah, so is withholding tax, you know, as consultants, sometimes you can do some work. The company you work for withholds 5%. And you live there feeling, you know, I've paid my tax and I'm okay. And you do the next job, I've paid my tax and I'm okay. Is withholding tax a final tax? Do you owe KRA any more after you've paid your 5% withholding tax as a consultant?
That's an interesting one. To start with, why withholding tax and what is withholding tax? Withholding tax is generally an advance tax that government or KRA says, I want you to deduct from Robert as a consultant and pay me that amount. That's why it's withholding. So it's an advance tax. You're asking the person who is paying to withhold and remit to Revenue Authority. Yeah. Now, is it final tax? In some instances, yes, it is final tax. For example, dividend withholding tax. If Safaricom pays you a dividend and they withhold 5% if you're a Kenyan, you don't need to declare that income and pay any additional tax. But in most cases, it is not final tax. It is just an advance tax, and it serves two main purposes for government. One, KRA will understand that there's an individual called Robert who has earned some income and we have collected 5%. So we expect from him 25% at the end of the year when he's filing his tax return. That's number one. So it gives KRA an idea of how much to expect. Yeah. And number two, and more importantly, I think for government and for KRA, is the cash flow. So instead of waiting, a year down the line for Robert to pay his tax, you find that that advance tax or the withholding tax that is being paid in advance gives KRA or government cash flow advantage. So a critical point that one has to ask themselves.
Cash flow advantage meaning they have money available, accessible to them for their current day-to-day needs as government. Okay.
Exactly. Instead of waiting a whole year until Robert files his tax return.
Yeah.
So it's important that when you do get your withholding tax, you get your certificate and then you file your tax return, declare your income, declare your tax liability. So let's take an example. My fee note was £1,000,000 shillings, yeah. And then you withheld 5%, so 50,000. Yeah. I do my tax at the end of the year. My tax liability comes to say 250 after my expenses. So 250,000. Then I will go to Revenue Authority and say, I owe you 250,000, but Rina declared and paid for me 50,000 on my behalf, and this is the withholding tax certificate that I have as evidence. So what I owe you as Revenue Authority is now 200. So it's an advance tax that you should take a credit for while you're filing your tax return.
On the iTax platform, because this is how now it's done, when I log in, is it possible for me to see that 5% has already been paid and I owe 200? Is it already calculated by KRA?
So, and that's a good question. Two things about iTax. So you will log in and see the withholding tax credit in there, and you'll even get the certificate because it's sent electronically.
Yes, it is.
But even more importantly for Kenya Revenue Authority, they will be able to tell that you owe, if I work backwards, if 5% is say 50,000, then I know your invoice was £1,000,000 shillings at the back of my mind. So I expect that you will pay me an additional amount. Yeah. But to answer your question, yes.
I will be able to see.
You will be able to see it. You should be able to see it.
So it will add up. At the bottom there, I will see my obligation to KRA is 200 because of this job that I did somewhere.
Correct.
So it won't be that I have to remember, oh yeah, what was that job I did and how much do I owe?
No.
It will be calculated for me.
It will be on your, remember every taxpayer has got an iTax ledger, which is basically an account.
Yes.
So it will show there, Rina has got a withholding tax credit of 50,000. And when you're filing your tax return, that credit will be computed and the system will tell you this is how much you now owe Revenue Authority. So the most important thing is to ensure that that credit is reflecting in your ledger. Some payers will not remit to Revenue Authority, for example, so your credit will not reflect. And an important point here...
Yeah. What if they don't submit and I know I owe KRA for money I earned?
So, that's where I was going. So if they don't submit, as far as Revenue Authority is concerned, you need to pay your tax because you have no credit. Right? But then Revenue Authority will possibly pick it up.
Wait a minute. What does that mean? So I have to pay the full 30?
Correct. Which is why if the supplier or if your client has withheld, you have to demand for that withholding tax credit. If you don't, they'll possibly have taken 5%, and then you will require to pay
The 30.
30%. So effectively 35%.
So who do I demand from?
From the payer, the person who is paying you.
To pay KRA before the time is up?
Well, you can't really demand for them to pay KRA, but if they are paying you and they deduct the withholding tax, then you need to get a certificate. If they don't deduct, then, well, it's fine.
So what I'm demanding is really the certificate?
The certificate,
Okay.
if they have deducted.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. All right, guys, that's withholding tax. We're still on taxation matters. If you have any more questions, please do send them, via email, or put them on the comment section, or send a WhatsApp message to 0707 633 433. In the meantime, I have a book out, by the way. It's been a long time since I talked about it. It's called MoneyWise: Create, Grow, and Preserve Wealth, and it is a good book that covers all things saving, investment, budgeting, what are the different investment options available to you, how do you protect the money that you earn over the time that you're earning it and beyond, and you want to get a copy. It's only 1,000 shillings, and you can find it on mymook.com or at Textbook Center, or you can just send us an email and we'll get you a copy. Have a wonderful day. You are watching MoneyWise, where we create, grow, and preserve wealth.